fortune and adventure you seek, then Captain Edward Kenway's your man.
When I saw Edward Kenway spoiled, I knew that there was exactly one thing that we needed to do with it, and that is sail the 7 seas. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a super quick deck tech for Edward Kenway and his pirate ships. First thing to dive into, obviously, is the pirate ships. First we need to talk about is the Jackdaw and the Adestria. Obviously, those are included. The whole point of this deck is to play vehicles and then use my enablers. I kind of forwent pirates in the deck for things that just crew vehicles better. So we want to play vehicles and we want to crew them, make treasures, hit people. That's the whole point. So obviously Jackdaw, Adestria. Magmatic Galleon is a vehicle that creates some really good interaction in your deck. The Indomitable draws you cards. RMS Titanic makes you treasures. Sky Sovereign shoots things. Nautiloid ship. I know it's not exactly a pirate ship. Please don't comment that it's not actually pirate ships. We're being very fast and loose with it, okay? So we have the Nautiloid ship. The Omen Keel, which is the backside of Cosmina, God of the Voyage, is a surprisingly useful vehicle for those who have never looked at the backside of that card. The Belligerent is in here because it's a ship. It's actually not amazing. There's some times when it works, and there's a lot of times where it just rots in your hand. Cybership is going to help us create more bodies, which mostly are going to block, but sometimes can group. Foreboding Steamboat is a weird mass double edict that nobody ever sees coming. You're going to have to read this card a few times over when you cast it. Imposter Mech makes more vehicles. Flame War Brash Veteran is a living vehicle. It's a transformer that we can cast on its vehicle side, and it's going to help us draw a ton of cards. Really useful. Subterranean Schooner is another one that's on the chopping block, but it is in fact a pirate ship, so it fits the theme. Deluxe Dragster is going to be hitting your opponents, casting their instants and sorceries. We're pirating. This is technically a pirate ship. Cultivator's Caravan does ramp. Brotherhood Vertibird hits faces. Bessie, the Doctor's Roadster, is surprisingly one of the better vehicles in this deck, as it makes a legendary creature unblockable when it attacks. Another legendary creature. Most of your vehicles are legendary, so this is going to make vehicles like the RMS Titanic unblockable and be able to just get in, make 7 treasures. Very, very cool. Mighty Servant of Luke O is a strange one, but we love it. Mobilizer Mech crews extra vehicles. Smuggler's Copter loots you some cards. And Mindlink Mech is just a very cheap flyer that sometimes has some connotations for end-step triggers and things like that. So that's all the vehicles in the deck. How are we crewing these vehicles? And it is with our creatures, 2 of which are pirates. We have a Ragavan in the deck. Ragavan Nimble Pilfer. Does all the things we want to do. And then Captain Storm Cosmium Raider is going to get huge with Edward Kenway's triggers for the treasures that he's making. Armix Filigree Thrasher, in a pinch, can crew vehicles, but is here to destroy creatures as we're attacking. There's a sub-theme that you'll start to see of recurring from the graveyard because we're playing black, and Armix does a great job at discarding cards, destroying things. Love to have it here. Baleful Strix is one of the more important creatures in the deck because since you're crewing vehicles and attacking with them, you're going to be left without blockers a lot of the time. So having a Baleful Strix back with Death Touch is going to say, don't touch me for at least a little bit. The Ancient One crews vehicles, crews every vehicle in the deck. It costs 2 mana, and sometimes it's you're going to end up with a lot of mana in this deck, and this can be an outlet for it. Gadrak the Crown Scourge is another. It's just crews every vehicle in the deck very cheaply, and I have seen it make a lot of treasures. Metalwork Colossus is essentially a free creature in this deck. It has an ability to cost X less, where X is the total mana value of non-creature artifacts you control, which your vehicles are, until they're crewed. So Metalwork Colossus comes down very cheaply most of the time. Whirler Rogue makes extra bodies, makes stuff unblockable. Thought Monitor comes in very cheap, draw some cards. Joyro Weatherlight Captain is going to draw a card every vehicle that we cast. There's lots of good stuff there. I can't believe she's not a pirate. Please, Wizards, errata her to be a pirate. And lastly is what I'm trying out, which is Imskir Iron Eater. I think that it's going to provide a lot of card draw, but I've never actually gotten to cast it yet. A couple extra win conditions for the deck. We have a Cyberdrive Awakener, which makes all of our vehicles and treasures into 4/4s with flying. Unwinding Clock seems like it's a ramp card, but it basically every time you cast it, you're going to win the game, because all of a sudden you can untap all of your artifacts, which is all of your vehicles. So now you have the ability to attack and block with your vehicles, which mitigates any of the downside of them. So they're not made to be both attacking and blocking, and Unwinding Clock does that while also ramping you and other weird things. And then Rise and Shine is like another copy of Cyberdrive Awakener. It just permanently makes everything a 4/4. All of your vehicles 4/4s, or makes them 0/0s, puts counters on them. So you overload it for 6, all of your vehicles, but then also all of your treasures just become 4/4s as well. So great times. Couple of things that just help the deck run smoothly, some of our value pieces. We have an Anchor to Reality in here. This is just Tinker for our best cards in the deck, so love playing Anchor to Reality. The Blackstaff of Waterdeep and Tezzeret's Touch both do essentially the same thing, which is permanently crew a vehicle. Love having those here. A little bit of haste goes a long way with a lot of these vehicles. So Lightning Greaves is the best one of those, because you can crew a vehicle and then equip the Greaves to it to give it haste, and then move it back off of that onto something else. You're going to be moving your Lightning Greaves around a lot here. And Dowsing Device does a decent job of that. I've found that I flip Dowsing Device most of the time, and then it basically becomes a Keswick Wolf run for your like flying huge vehicles. So Dowsing Device, underrated in the deck. And then aforementioned Graveyard Recursion, we have both Goblin Welder and we have Duretti Scrap Savant as our Graveyard Recursion to bring our vehicles back. Most of the time you're going to be sacrificing a treasure that Kenway makes and bringing a vehicle back from the graveyard. It's a really powerful play. We have quite a lot of ramp in this deck because we have a 5-mana commander who is going to take a bit to come out. So the coolest ramp that we have in this deck is Storm the Vaults, which I've never had to wait for it to make treasures. It's just 100% of the time I play it and step, it flips into Tolarian Academy. So a great one to have. Creature ramp is really good in this deck, even though we're in Grixis, because you want flexibility to be able to either ramp or make or crew a vehicle. So we have Mere Convert, which is, I love that it's a 2/1 in this deck. Sorry that you have to carry a poison counter with you now, but we have Mere Convert as our ramp. Ethereum Sculptor and Enthusiastic Mechanaut, same deal. They can crew a vehicle in a pinch, especially the Ethereum, the ones that give static reduction of mana cost. You just have those there, and then they can just crew vehicles while still giving you their benefits. So those are some of the best ones in the deck. Dark Ritual is also really good here, just because we're in black and need a lot of mana very early. And then the rest of it is just your standard Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, and the Talismans. In our card draw slot, the first major card draw spell that we're playing is Thoughtcast. That was weird. We're playing Wheel of Misfortune as well. Obviously, it's my favorite card in the game. And what I'm trying out right now is Blood-Soaked Insight as a card draw spell that can sometimes be a land. A couple of things that will keep us alive and be able to help stabilize us is interaction spells. Every deck needs them. We are playing some pretty specific ones in here to accommodate for most of our mana being spent on creatures and vehicles. We're playing some unique interaction spells. Like, we don't have a counter spell in the deck because holding up blue is just not what we want to be doing here. So with that in mind, one of the more important cards in the deck is Propaganda. Again, you're going to be left without blockers a lot of the time, and you want to go for the greed. Like, you didn't play Edward Kenway to not go for the greed. So Propaganda allows you to go for the greed. Some free interaction in Snuff Out. I just had one lying around and I thought that it was good in the deck, and it does a decent impression of Deadly Rollick without being $60. Toxic Deluge is in the deck because until you crew your vehicles, they're non-creatures, so they don't die to board wipes. So a 3-mana, essentially wipe the board, and then be able to play something else and start crewing your vehicles is going to be a huge swing in this deck. An Offer You Can't Refuse as our counterspell. It's going to counter essentially Vandal Blast. That is the bane of this deck's existence. So save your counterspells for Vandal Blast. We have a Pongify, a Feed the Swarm, and an Arcane Denial as the rest of our real interaction. And then as another sort of board wipe, we have Aetherize. So one-sided board wipes are going to be huge here, and Aetherize is just one of the best at doing that. So you can save it for when you're being attacked and then come back and hit them with a ton of vehicles. And that is Edward Kenway Pirates, and it is some of the most Edward Kenway pirate ships, and it is some of the most fun that I've had playing Magic. I hope you build the deck too. If you like this super quick deck tech, let us know down below the next one of ours that you want to see. This was a vote from our Discord, which you can also join down below. There's gonna be a link right there. Give us a like, comment, subscribe to us. We're nearing 300 subscriptions, which is unbelievable. So I'm just stoked to make more of these. Let me know which one you want to see. This has been Joseph with the MTG Thoughtcast, signing off. I'll see you next time.